As real estate investors, we sometimes find it difficult to find a real estate agent that has the investor's mindset and that can help us get the right deal for our goals. My next guest, Craig Curelop, solved that problem by creating an investor-centric real estate agency. We're going to learn about how he helps real estate investors and how you can land your next deal. Next on the WTRE show.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Craig Curelop. Craig is a real estate investor and real estate agent with the FI team. He's also the author of The House Hacking Strategy. Craig, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Dwaine. Thank you so much for having me here. I love the little intro too. That was cool. You did it better than I could have said it.
Oh, cool. I really appreciate the compliment there. So awesome. Yeah, so I really appreciate you taking the time. We was kind of talking a little bit pre-show, kind of getting to know each other. You have very, very interesting background. Love to share that with the audience. So before we kick things off, kind of dig into strategy and how you help in real estate investors. Can you talk about your investing journey and how you got started?
Yeah, so really it all started back when I was working in California. I was working in Silicon Valley at a job that I absolutely hated. And there was just this one evening when I was with my girlfriend at the time where my boss sent me an email saying I had to get this memo out at like 5 a.m. It was 8 a.m. Eastern time, so 5 a.m. Pacific. So that whole Sunday night, it was just me working while my girlfriend was just like sitting there watching me work. And she was miserable and I was miserable. And I was just like, man, is this what my life is going to be? Am I either going to be working or telling someone to work on a Sunday night for the rest of my life? And I just decided, no way. I need to just grab life by basically put life in my own hands and do something about it, right? So I started reading a lot more books, picked up Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week, learned about passive income. Being in Silicon Valley, I started to think of startup ideas, and all of the startup ideas were ridiculously stupid startup ideas, like nothing that could ever work. Until I realized about real estate. And I thought about real estate, and I forget, one of my interns actually said his dad bought like a 9-unit property when he was 25. Now he was 55, it was paid off, and the thing cash flows him like 10 grand a month. And I was like, wow, that's pretty incredible. And so I started thinking about real estate. I stumbled upon Bigger Pockets, started absorbing all of their information, listening to their webinars, watching the podcast, all of that kind of stuff. And eventually actually ended up working at Bigger Pockets, right? So I become obsessed with them so much, and I saw they had a need for a financial analyst. I quit my job in California, moved to Denver, and then I started investing in real estate, really just to get out of that rat race was the biggest thing.
Oh, very cool. And as far as kind of your transition from, Bigger Pockets, you absorbing all that information, taking to the next level, taking action. Can I take us through your first investing deal? Like what type of deal was it, and, how did it fare out for you?
For sure. Yeah. So my first deal so I moved to Denver in April 2017. I closed on my first deal in June of 2017. So it was a couple of months after moving. And that first deal was a duplex. It was an up-down duplex, totally renovated, didn't need any work. And I wanted to do this because as a house hacker, I didn't want to put any more money into a rehab because I wanted to make sure I could save enough money for the next one in exactly 1 year, right? So I purchased this pretty much turnkey duplex, up, down. I lived in the bottom, rented out the top. However, renting at the top did not fully cover my mortgage. And so I was like determined to live for free. And so what I did was I put a futon and a curtain with a cardboard box in the living room, and I rented out my bedroom on Airbnb. And so I had this revolving door of roommates, some of whom I'm still in touch with today. And they helped pay for my mortgage. And so between those two, I was making about $600 or $700 a month and living for free at that property.
Yeah, I like the determination. It's just kind of like starting out from the beginning of the story of, the boss kind of ticking you off. You're like, no more until you go in here and you say, yeah, I'm going to make this thing work until I'm become financially free through this real estate, and then you're going to make it happen. That's awesome. And then kind of take us through the next part of this journey of kind of building this investor-centric agency where you focus exclusively with real estate investors and meeting their needs. Can you kind of talk about your passion for building that?
Yeah. So basically, yeah. So I mean, I did my first deal with a realtor that was not myself. I was just, with a professional realtor. And well, he kind of understood investing a little bit. He wasn't really there to help as much as I would like in my first transaction, with the largest investment of my life. Right. So on my second property, I decided to get my license, and I decided to be an agent for myself. And this was before I did anything for anyone else. I wanted to at least go through the process myself. And was like, hey, I mean, I could save, I can save 2.8% of the purchase price, right? By being able to have my own license. And so I was like, wow, that's pretty incredible. And so for the third one, I did it again. And I did it for myself again. And then I started to help other people, started to help some friends out. And then I was like, oh, wow, people actually want this. People want someone to guide them from when they start looking all the way through the transaction, all the way to getting tenants and marketing the place. And as things come up, they want someone there to kind of be their coach. And so I was like, well, there's a need, right? And being a real estate agent is pretty much a commodity. Like anybody with a pulse can get a license. And so you have to figure out a way to distinguish yourself. And so, I created the FI team, and we now have a great team of investor-friendly agents, all of whom invest, all of whom guide their clients and our clients from contract to close and throughout the entire process from start to finish. And I think they really like that. And we end up being friends with most people that we work with. So.
Yeah. That's really important because, when I got into real estate, I was lucky to go through a coaching program who they had referrals of, investor type of real estate agents that can kind of walk you through the process. Can you kind of talk about from an educational standpoint? Because, people, like you mentioned, that can get a post, can get a real estate license, and then kind of don't give you the right advice or point you to the right direction as far as kind of like your goal. But can you talk about kind of like the beginning process? Someone comes to you and they kind of tell you your goal, and then you can kind of, figure out what's the best strategy for them, whether it's like a house hacking or a rehab or something like that.
For sure. Yeah. So usually when, if a client's interested, we'll have an initial phone call and we'll understand their goals. Do you want cash flow? Do you want appreciation? Do you want a mixture of the both? What exactly are you looking for? And based on that, we tell them, hey, this type of property will work best for you, given your strategy. We can start looking here, here, and here. And because no one knows the Denver market like we do, right? No one can come into the Denver market and tell us what the best strategy is. And if sometimes someone comes into Denver and says, hey, we want to find a $200,000 property to burr, I'm like, you're not going to find a $200,000 property. It's going to be a cardboard box, right? And so, you have to just make sure that you can educate them. And then when you go and once you've got the strategy down and you actually go start looking at the house, our agents, all we do is we go in and we just tell them exactly the facts, right? We're not here to convince you to buy a house, right? We're here to help you purchase a place that you feel comfortable with. So we'll tell you all the good things we see. We'll tell you all the bad things we'll see, and we'll let you make the decision. And I'm always more than happy to say, hey, I would buy this place, or hey, I would not buy this place if I was you in your shoes. And I think that's just super important, and just getting comfort and not being, too pushy. I talk to so many agents and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to sell my client this place. I'm like, are you the selling agent or the buying agent? And they're like, I'm the buying agent. I'm like, your job is not to sell the place. Your job is to make sure your client is getting a good investment and is happy with the purchase. And if it's, and so that frustrates me with some agents, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially there when you're investment is more of a financial thing. So you look at the numbers, if the numbers make sense, rather than kind of like a house where you fall in love with the the bathroom and all of the amenities of it. So if you run through the facts and say, look, based off of your goals and expectations, this doesn't make sense for you. Let's look at another investment, or you wait until you come when that opportunity comes for you. So I appreciate you sharing that. Can you kind of talk about the Denver market? I haven't talked to any boots on the ground agents, real estate investors that's kind of letting us know. I know there's a whole bunch of different things going on across the country as far as kind of housing inventory and, you know, rental rates and things like that. Can you talk to us specifically what's going on in Denver?
For sure. Yeah. So I'd say Denver, it sounds like the rest of the Denver is kind of following suit with the rest of the country. Inventory is super low, still having bidding wars, pricing is up. Really, COVID has had very little impact on purchase prices, mainly because the interest rates are so low. And so, it'll be interesting to see how 2021 shakes out. But the market is, it's competitive. It's very competitive. I mean, we put in offers this weekend, $40,000 or $50,000 above asking, and did not get them. Wow. So it's crazy here. As long as the deal works, again, like with house hacking, it's really okay. Like you can purchase properties for over asking price, even $40,000 or $50,000, because at the end of the day, $40,000 to $50,000 is probably about $200 or so on your mortgage payment. And if you're saving $1,000 a month on rent, $200 is not that much, right? Like you need to get into that quick and get in so you can start getting the second one, the third one, the fourth one. You're not going to get rich on one deal, but you will get rich over multiple deals. So that's why the house hacking is really the only strategy where like you want to go actually quickly and not wait for like the best deal.
Yeah, that actually makes sense. And coupled with, right now with the lowest interest rates we've seen. So then if you can take advantage of that, a fixed rate long term and be able to get your tenants in there paying off of their mortgage and making profit per deal and then move on to the next one, that definitely sounds like a really good strategy right there. Can you kind of take us through maybe one of your favorite case studies or, testimonials or, working with a real estate investor where you found them from the beginning and kind of close on something that really worked out well for them?
Yeah, there's so many, but one story I always like to tell is my friend David. He had no idea what house hacking was, like no idea. He had real estate investing wasn't even in the cards for him. And then him and one of my other friends were just chatting about real estate and whatever, and she just got a house hack. And so he was asking her all these questions and all that kind of stuff. And he was starting to get interested. And she was like, yeah, let me just introduce you to my realtor. And so got introduced to me maybe, 2 days after they talked. We were literally looking for houses that weekend. We went under contract that weekend and he was closed and house hacking like within a month. And so he went from not knowing anything about real estate investing to kind of just like trusting the process in a month and got his place filled maybe like a week or two later. And so he went from paying, $1,500 a month in rent to then like making $1,500 a month, a $3,000 net difference in a matter of a month, just by one fairly large decision. And he was able to trust the process. Right. Wow. And so it was just, it was a cool story. And I wish everyone kind of would be that willing and trustworthy, but obviously, it does take some convincing many times.
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially with the education, I understand that you have a book, The House Hacking Strategy, where people can kind of understand what, the BRRRR thing, every time you kind of hear a show, you hear BRRRR, what is that exactly? Can you first tell us what that strategy is? I know we kind of went through different types of parts of it, and then also what's in the book and where people can get it.
Yeah. So house hacking is the idea that you're buying a property. It's a 1 to 4 unit property with a low percent down. And that low percent is typically anywhere between 0% if you're a military VA up to 5% down. So because you're doing such a low down payment, you need to live there for 1 year. So you live there for 1 year. While you're living there, you rent out the other bedrooms if it's a single family, or maybe the other units if it's a multifamily. And that rent covers your mortgage and you live for free. And I bet you that your largest expense is your housing expense. And so you're eliminating your largest expense, which really propels you very quickly towards financial independence.
And as far as kind of like your book, I know you kind of run through like the different strategies, but also do you also talk about kind of the mindset switch? Because you had mentioned with your last clients that they even know about it. And then once they started to learn about it, it made a switch and then they instantly took action.
Yeah, there's a mindset switch. Absolutely. And I do mention this in the book, right? Kind of the first part of the book is getting the right mindset. And that's really, you're going to be different, right? Like you're going to be different than all of your peers when you start house hacking, right? Because you may have a job like that's, you're getting paid $70,000, $80,000 a year. It's a very respectable wage. But you're going to be sharing a house with how many people, right? You're going to be living behind a curtain. people are going to think you're absolutely insane, and your friends are going to think you're poor, and your family's going to think you're nuts. Right. And you have to just like embrace being different for that first year. Right. The second year, right, you'll buy 2 houses in a year. How many people do you know that can buy 2 houses in a year at age 23, 24, 25 if you're just starting out? Mm-hmm. Probably not too many, right? And wait till you get your 3rd, 4th, and 5th one, right? Now you start having material wealth and you start investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in other houses or in other ventures, and you're able to quit your job, right? And so during no part of this process are you like anyone. So you have to be okay with being different. At first, kind of like struggling, but after that, you're going to be much more lavish than some of your other peers.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really big thing, is especially now with the social pressure to, be a certain way, is that you kind of be totally different and sometimes isolated in order to, achieve, financial freedom. And I forget the exact quote. I think Dave Ramsey says, saying like, do things that other people won't do so you can live the life like, no one else, or something of that nature. But it's just definitely the right mindset. And especially now, especially with the student loan debt and, and then, now we're recovering for jobs, as people just trying to find ways to become financially free, get independence, and doing this is one of the best strategies that you can do. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Can you take us through, I know that you run your business, you're doing your investments. Take us through a typical work day for you. And do you have any special morning routines?
Yeah. So I do have you heard of the Miracle Morning?
Yep, I implement every morning. Yep.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, so yeah, I do the Miracle Morning. I wake up at 5 a.m. right now. I'm going to try to get back to waking up at 4:30, but wake up at 5 a.m. I do all my savers. For listeners who don't know, the savers is an acronym. It stands for silence, affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing. So I do all of those things every morning. And then I'll go to the gym right around 7 or 8, come back, and I do high priority things in the morning, basically from 9 until lunch. I am doing like working on the business versus working in the business. Right after lunch is when I start taking my phone calls and doing some of that kind of stuff, because that's when my brain is at its best in the morning. And then after lunch, I kind of get into like social mode. So that's why I do my social things in the afternoons. And yeah, then I try to end my day by like 6 or 7, but that doesn't always happen. I usually end it with a walk with my girlfriend, and then we start over again.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as, working with your team, communicating with clients and things like that, is there any tools or resources that, that you use to help you manage your database, to make you more productive?
Yeah, we use our CRM, KV Core, which is very helpful. We use Slack to communicate amongst the team. Dropbox is our sharing file service. I guess those are the main collaboration tools that we use. I personally love just like Spotify, honestly, to just like listen to some like classical music or whatever and just get in the zone so I can get stuff done quickly. What else is there? Yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess.
And as far as you mentioned, running through the savers, savers routine, and one big part of that is gratitude, along with affirmations, of course, and other things. You can take us through what you're grateful for.
I mean, it's a very long list of things that I'm grateful for, but I'm very grateful for all of the people in my life. I'm grateful for the team. I'm grateful for my supporting girlfriend, my supporting family. I'm grateful to be here in Colorado, which I think is one of the amazing states to live in. Grateful for the bed that I get to sleep in. Grateful for the sun. I mean, there's so many things to be grateful for. It's, it's just incredible. So I do love that question.
Awesome. And as far as kind of how we get in contact with you, what's the best form and means?
Yeah. So if you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the Denver market, you can go to thefieteam.com. If you want to just kind of interact with me, my Instagram handle is @thefieguy, and those are probably the best 2 places to reach out.
Awesome. Craig, it was a pleasure having you on. Like I said, listen to another fellow savers practitioner. So like I always hearing, nice talking to people like that. Continued success in your market and all your business ventures. I really appreciate you taking the time. Best of you and the family, and look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Thanks, Dwaine. You too, man.
All right, take care, my friend. Absolutely. Hey there, this is Dwaine Clarke, your host of the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. I want to thank you again for tuning in and hope you're enjoying this valuable content. While I got you for a quick minute, I wanted to send you an invitation to join our growing investor community. It's called the Passive Investors Club. It's a group of like-minded individuals like you who are seeking financial freedom and to build true wealth through passive investing in commercial real estate. We take a totally different approach to investing that is opposite, that is pushed by the financial advisors and what we see in the mainstream media. We like to invest in real assets that we can touch and understand and that are not subject to the wild swings of the financial markets. We don't want to be part of the herd who pursues the traditional route, leaving our financial future to Wall Street. So if you're interested in joining our group and to sharing resources and opportunities, then go to passiveinvestorsclub.com/join. Joining the club is completely free and there's no obligation. And all our members receive our free Passive Investors course along with tons of resources and content. So again, passiveinvestorsclub.com/join.